I often sit and wonder how things could be this way. I guess we'd better tell them this is a brand new day. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands, make it work out your way. It's not the number of times you stumble down and fall upon the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up and keep on moving on to meet your goal. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hey folks, on Instagram, on YouTube, Chris from Australia, thank you. Let's see, Paul Griffin, thank you for joining us. Okay, Miss Grateful, great. Okay, Sam, thanks for joining us. Wow, what a great group tonight. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Success at Supper Time. Wow. When you eat your dinner and fill your body and your belly, let's fill your mind and your spirit with some uplifting words. Our message, of course, is based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. And this is your recipe book for success. If you want your life to be different, if you want to make this year your year for outrageous success, the 12 Universal Laws of Success is the answer, number one. And then number two, we have a home study course called New You for the New Year. You put these two things together and nothing is impossible. Our topic for today is don't sell yourself cheaply. And I really want to look at that because so often we undervalue ourselves. So often we let our self-worth, our self-value be determined by our circumstances. Wow. We let our self-value, our self-worth be determined by our circumstances. There's a beautiful poem by Jesse Rittenhouse. And you've probably heard it before, but there's a powerful message here. And it says, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted up my scanty score. For life is a just employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I asked of life would have willingly paid. Let me read those two lines because that's the crux of tonight's message. That any wage I asked of life would have willingly paid. And so the thought there is that we often ask less than we're worth. Sometimes we let our circumstances determine our value, how we feel about ourselves. You know, you think back on the biblical story, the prodigal son. You know the story, the prodigal son had gotten his piece of the rock and gone out into the far country and parted his money away. And now when he was broke, as they say, flat, broke, busted, disgusted, and couldn't be trusted, and he's working in the pig pens feeding somebody else's pigs. Now, when you take a fall like that, I like to think of it, we used to call them in New York, we call them fallen angels. People who had been high and mighty, who had achieved great success, but circumstances brought them down, broke them down. The beauty of this thought, though, is that you determine your worth. You determine your net worth. And it's not in money. See, one of the mistakes we often make is we define ourselves in terms of money. Trust me, money only magnifies what you already are. If you're a jerk, broke, then when you get money, you're going to be a rich jerk. If you're a parasite, broke, when you get money, you're going to be a rich parasite. And so it's not about defining yourselves in terms of money. Defining yourself in terms of what you wear and material possessions. I was watching a lady the other day, and every garment she had on had somebody's name on it. You know, some designer. And I'm not knocking it, but that was how she felt. But it was just interesting. That designer was getting free publicity. So when we say don't sell yourself cheaply, there's a great passage on page 17 of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. And it says, don't sell yourself cheaply. You are worth exactly what you say you are worth. Know your full potential. Know the true value of your talents. Let's dwell on that for a moment. Know the true value of your talents. If you sell yourself short, if you undervalued yourself, sometimes you look at your talents, and especially when things are not going the way you thought they would, and you value yourself based on the defeat you're experiencing temporarily, rather than on the victory that will surely come. As we read, continue. Know your full potential and the true value of your talents. Recognize that you are a very special individual with boundless capacity for health, wealth, love, success, prosperity, and money. So now that's the framework I'd like for us to leave tonight, and to really begin to apply and work on ourselves. Recognize that you are not just a physical body, but you're a vibration. You're a seed. You're a potential. You have the capacity to change the world. And so when you start to value yourself, when you interact with life, and that line that says that whatever wage you ask of life, life would surely pay. I'm not saying make an inflated, superficial, fake it till you make it type valuation. I'm talking about setting your value, looking at yourself, looking at your skill set, look at your talents, and valuing yourself accordingly. Look at the knowledge. You know, over the life that you have lived to date, you've learned a lot. We have to remind ourselves of the things that we know. When David faced Goliath, he didn't rush out to get a course in giant killing. He looked around for stones, rocks, and rocks are the things that you know, rock solid truth. And so when you start to value yourself, look at the things you know. Oprah used to say, what do you know for sure? What do you know about yourself? Don't let your circumstances define you. Say, I am. When the prodigal son was at the lowest point in his life, he said, here I am starving, and my father, even my father's servants, have food enough and more. And so whatever your circumstances may be, recognize that you are the created being of an all-powerful God, and that you were created for a purpose. And not only that, you already have everything you need to get everything you want. But when you devalue yourself, you miss it. You focus on your imperfections rather than your assets. So one, look at the knowledge you have. Over the years, you have learned a lot of stuff. And so when you want to go for the next position that you're looking to go for, whether it's a job, whether it's a business, whether it's a relationship, whatever that next venture is, take stock of yourself, the things you know for sure. So knowledge. Number two, your experience. A friend of mine once said, if he ever wanted to take flying lessons, he wanted to take flying lessons from a person who had learned to fly, flown, crashed and burned and flown again. Look at the experiences that you have. You know, so many times when we look at the trials and tribulations that you have experienced, they were for a purpose. Everything that happens and an attitude that we must take so that we don't devalue ourselves is to look at every situation and say, no matter how negative it may be, no matter how hopeless it may seem, to say, this situation that I am experiencing is to help me be a better person. This situation, these circumstances are to add value to my life. You know, the beautiful thing about timelessness is the things that seem like the most awful, terrible things that may happen today. If you could look 4 or 5 years down the line, you say, man, I'm so glad I hit that rock. Because when I hit that rock, it got my attention to say, man, you're really off track. You've gone off the wheels. And hitting that rock helped me get back on track. You talk with many people who are successful, and they tell you how they were even incarcerated. They went to jail. And they Judge Mathis, one of my favorites, you know, he talks about how, you know, he was a troubled youth. But somebody saw value in him. And he saw value in himself. So look at your experiences. Everything that you've experienced in the past, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. It was to make you a better person. Number 3, look at the context you have. You know, when a person hires you or when a person brings you into their sphere of influence, they're not just bringing you, they're bringing you and all the people you know. Someone once said, you know, it's not only about the people who you know, it's about the people who know you. And so look at the context you made. A lot of people love you. A lot of people know you. And a lot of people have been impacted positively by you. And so look at those contacts and say, that's a part of me. And so when I value myself, look at the context I bring to the equation. Look at the experience I bring to the equation. Look at the knowledge I bring to the equation. Look at your track record. You know, your track record, so often we focus on the failures, but look at all the things in your track record. You know, in the home study course, there's a section, the first lesson is called Face the Facts, where you assess your situation, where you look at the things you've done and the person you've become up to that point. And when you look at that, you say, you know what? All the things that I went through were to make me a better person. So now I know that. When we walk on the coals with one of the leaders like a Tony Robbins, once you walked on those coals, you're clear. You say, you know what? I feared cold. I feared fire. I feared being burned. But by making this breakthrough and overcoming my fear and walking on those coals, I can face anything. So look at your track record from the positive side, not just the negative side, the stuff that went wrong, but the stuff that went right. What would you do again as you move forward? What would you not do again as you move forward? Many of us have jobs. You know, when I counsel young people, I tell them, don't get so focused on the pay that you're getting. You know, we were working with a group of young people and their whole thing was like, how much am I going to be paid on this job? And I was trying to help them get a paradigm and say, how much can this job benefit me? You know, as an entrepreneur, when you look at an investment or a business endeavor, don't be so concerned about how much it costs to get involved, but be more diligent about what are the potential for making money. Hey, this opportunity costs $1,000. I'm a network marketer. And so often people look at network marketing and they say, wow, $1,000 to get in this business. But when you look at the business and assuming it's a great product, a solid company, et cetera, that $1,000 may be leveraged into $100,000. may be leveraged into annual income for life, $1 million or more. So be more diligently interested in how much you can make than how much it costs. So when I work with young people, the focus was on how much are they going to pay me? I've been working there 3 months and I should get more money. They're taking advantage of me. But remember this, every job that you encounter, as you begin to look at your self-worth, you make some decisions. And you may be in a job that when you look at the money, somebody will tell you like, they're taking advantage of you. You're not making enough money. They're not paying you enough. But when you look at maybe you're making some great contacts. And when you make good contacts and people love and respect you, in another situation, you can go back to those people and do some deals. Look at the experience you're getting. Maybe right now you have to sacrifice those dollars right now to make millions later. When you look at a lot of the people who are at the top of the heap, the top of the money heap, the top of the success heap, most of them will tell you how somebody took them under their wing. They didn't pay them. I love internship. Man, to be able to get an opportunity to be in the room when the deals are being cut, whether you're paid or not, don't even worry about it. Okay? But the type of experience and the type of contacts you can make on that job. Satisfaction is important. Believe me, if you don't like what you're doing, it doesn't matter what they pay you. It's going to be miserable. When you come into that paradigm and you're in a job that you hate, it helps, it facilitates you devaluing yourself once again to sell yourself cheaply. So let's wrap up. All of you who are listening today and will listen to this recording, I want to task you with a question. What am I worth? And to sit down and make a list of all the things, all the value that you bring to a company, the value that you bring to a relationship, the value that you bring to your family and to anybody you encounter, the value that you bring to a business. And make a list of those things, the knowledge that you have, the experiences that you've gone through, the contacts that you know, the track record, successes and failures in the past. When you do that self-assessment, you can now say, this is what I will work for. The interesting thing about life, when they ask you, what salary are you expecting? When you're confident about your knowledge, when you're confident about your experience, when you're confident about your contacts, the relationships, when you're confident in your track record, you can ask for what you deserve. If nobody will ever tell you when you say, well, I need to make $50,000 a year, nobody will ever tell you, you know what, you're better than that. We'd like to pay you $100,000. Never happened. But if you have that feeling and that vibration, I'm worth 150. So whether you're at, I'm looking to make 150,000 a year. Of course, when you put that out there, you got to have a way to back it up. Say, well, why? What value do you bring to this company? What value do you bring to this relationship that's worth $150,000? And you should have some good answers. Don't say, because I need the money. You say, because I'm smart, because I'm diligent, because I'm self-disciplined, because I know how to get things done, because I know people who know how to get things done. That when you bring me into this company, you're bringing in everything that I represent. Now at that point, when you sell that one, then they're like, well, would you take 125,000? And at that point, you say, you know what? I like to think of it as a lock close. One of the mistakes people make sometimes is to try to negotiate when there's a close, when you've already closed. In other words, you want 150,000, okay? And they come in with an offer and you've looked at it and they come in with an offer, let's just say, of 125,000. We often say never take the first offer. If you feel that kind of confidence, then negotiate on it. But sometimes you have to take what we call a lock close. And the person say, would you consider 125,000? Well, if we could put some flexibility in some of my certain holidays that I need for my family and for some nonprofits I'm associated with, that could work. You see what I'm saying? No, that's a lock closed. They offered it, you took it, but you took it with a modification. Anyway, folks, that's a whole nother class. But the point today is this: don't sell yourself cheaply. Know what you're worth. Write it down. When you understand and believe in your true value, you will always be able to ask of life that amount. And as Rittenhouse poem says, that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. So when you can lock it down like that, whatever you ask, you will be paid, because life provides you based on your true worth and the worth you feel and believe about yourself. Wow. Anyway, folks, this is Dr. Herbert Harris. I hope today's success at supper time was helpful to you. I have felt that need that somebody tonight is getting ready to make some decisions and make some moves, and they need to shore up their self-worth, and don't put yourself in a position where you're being paid less than you're worth. Once again, our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success, be sure to go to our website. It's available on all the digital websites, but it's at herbertharris.com, www.herbertharris.com, and check out our home study course, because this is something you can use to help you implement the thoughts and the ideas in the 12 Universal Laws of Success. So let's sing it on out. I often sit and wonder how things could be this way. I guess we'd better tell them. And new day. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands. Make it work out your way. It's not the number of times you stumble down and fall upon the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up. You keep on moving on to reach your goal. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done together. Come on, everybody. Come on, everyone. The time to love is here. Let these troubled days be done. All right, folks. Dr. Herbert Harris, Success at Supper Time, every Monday through Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember this: you can be what you want to be. Do what you want to do and have whatever you want to have, always knowing that the best is yet to come. So it is.